Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to Soulworthy You. I'm your host, Elena Keneally, and today we are joined by the very beautiful and the very gracious Danielle Collins. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today on Soulworthy You.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today.
Oh, I am thrilled that you're here because I'm a bit of a super fan of Danielle. Danielle Collins is actually very well known for face yoga, and it's something that she's worked on over a number of years and created it and has shared it with many yoga teachers and also many other people as well. Danielle is often, featured in the press. You've been on, numerous television programs, and I think what I love about Danielle's work is this purity you bring to this yoga practice, and also actually making it accessible for everyone. In a way, I think it just opens up people's hearts in a very gentle way. And it's just such a, I feel I want to ask you more about this yoga journey that you've been on. I feel yoga is such a big part of any journey. I think however you practice it, it doesn't necessarily have to be very physical. So thank you so much for your time today. Can I ask, actually, how do you feel your light path started? What happened for you that you were drawn to this world of yoga, and that's where your work is now?
So my journey started when I was 21, so
Mm.
16 years ago. I just left university. I used to be someone that was very stressed, very much a perfectionist, very unhealthy in many ways. I thought I was healthy. Maybe I looked healthy on the outside, but inside I wasn't as healthy as I probably would have liked to have been or I should have been. And after I left university, I got glandular fever, and then I was diagnosed with ME. So I became very, very poorly. So I was housebound, I was bedridden, and I was really unwell for at least 18 months. I had to give up my work. I had to stop all my social life, which at 21, is quite a big thing to do.
Mm.
And during that time, I sort of thought to myself, this is a chance for me to heal myself. Doctors have said to me, we don't understand that much about this illness. There's not a magic pill we can give you. There's not a one cure for it. And one doctor actually suggested, maybe looking at some complementary therapies. So someone suggested to me, why don't you try a bit of yoga? And I'd never even heard the word yoga before, unbelievably. I had no idea what it was. So I went and got myself a little yoga video, put the yoga video on, and I was very much sort of housebound at that time. So really what I was able to do was a few deep breathing exercises, one or two very gentle stretches. But the first time I did it, I thought to myself, right, this is starting my healing journey now. I'm going to find a way to get myself better, to heal myself from within. So I started looking into other ways I could heal myself. I started looking into lots of different complementary therapies. So everything from acupressure, kinesiology, osteopathy, things I was doing at home were things about changing my mindset. So how could I deal with stress more effectively? How could I feel more positive? How could I use things like affirmations to change my mindset? How could I use things like affirmations to heal my body? Deep breathing was a massive, massive healing tool for me. And to this day, I would still say it's one of the most powerful healing tools for me. Learning to breathe effectively was so important for me. I
Mm.
ate, changed my egg, so I gave up alcohol, I gave up caffeine, I reduced my sugar intake. For me, they were essential things I needed to do in order to get myself better. And within about 18 months, I started to feel much, much healthier. And I was able to start looking towards the future. And I had this really strong calling in me. And it's been a calling that I've had ever since I can remember, ever since I was 3 or 4 years old, to help other people and to make a difference in their life. Now, the way I thought I was going to do it was to be a school teacher, a primary school teacher. That's what I did my degree in. And I
Ah.
thought that was going to be my path in life. But obviously, it wasn't. This life changing illness made me say, wait a minute, yes, I can see why you wanted to go to that down that path, but actually there's something you can do which is a lot more powerful for you and is going to fit much better for you in your life ongoing. So I
Mm.
help other people to either overcome an illness, whether it be a similar illness that I've gone through, or any other illness through natural holistic tools, or just to generally feel healthier and happier about themselves. So my
Mm.
first training I did was as a relaxation therapist. In time, I went on and trained as a yoga teacher, in nutritional therapy, in well-being coaching, in nutrition, in the face massage. And initially, what I started doing was just teaching a few little relaxation and yoga classes. So I was teaching meditation, visualization, very, very gentle sort of beginners and restorative yoga.
Oh, love restorative yoga.
Amazing, and it's so accessible for everyone. It's great, and I was just enjoying that so much, and it really felt like this is what I was always meant to do. I knew that this is what I was always meant to do. And the face yoga, interesting. I mean, I don't know if you want me to talk about how I then got into face yoga
I'm
class.
fascinated by the face yoga, but I'm fascinated about how you came from this place of being, very physically poorly, probably emotionally, I imagine, drained as well, and you've picked your stuff up step by step. Um, and I feel sometimes we see a lot now of people are like, oh, this has happened, and it's sort of instant, and you've been so honest about it, you did it in stages and in steps, and you followed your heart to find the next solution, and that's so powerful.
And it's
you
not
know
a quick fix, and I'd never say to anyone. So, anyone that's watching that's suffering from a similar illness, it wasn't an overnight thing for me by any means. It was step by step. It really was baby steps every single day. And even to this day, I'm so lucky that I was fully recovered within 2 years. But I know that actually for me, I always have to be careful. I always have to find that balance. Sometimes I have to call on my energy. The last sort of 6 weeks or so, I've just been doing a really big, exciting face yoga project, which I'll be telling
Oh.
everybody about here, which is exciting.
Mm.
I've had to call on, my energy reserves I built up, and that's fine. And my body can cope and is resilient to that. However, I couldn't do that forever. I couldn't just constantly put my body under strain or my mind. I'm always very, very careful. But actually, I went through that illness, and yes, I was completely recovered within a couple of years. And it was a long time ago now. We're looking back 15 years ago now. But I'll
Mm.
always be careful, and even to this day, I still don't drink alcohol. I still don't have any caffeine. I look after myself. I have regular acupuncture. I do yoga every day. I eat well. I look after my mind. I have a whole variety of tools. Which I'm sure I'll share with you over our interview. But a whole variety of tools I use even to this day to keep me well and to keep me healthy. And so I still look at that time, which I would say in many ways was the hardest time of my life, as a
Yeah.
life. The biggest blessing. It really was. It gave me a business, a career, a job that I love. But it also gave me tools that I can use for life to keep healthy. And actually, I'm quite glad in a lot of ways that I can't push my body to 100 miles an hour 24/7, because actually it keeps you much more grounded when you've got that little thing at the back of your head that says, you were unwell. Just
Yes.
easy. You are healthy, you have got lots of energy, but just take it back a notch or two occasionally. And that's for me a positive thing.
Yeah, and I think that's so interesting you mentioned about being grounded again, because I think on this, where many of us are, our consciousness has risen, and I think sometimes we think we're going to be protected no matter what. And it doesn't mean that we're not. But I think about being grounded with your body, like you say, being grounded with your day to day, being grounded with your finances. All of those things actually help give yourself that sense of self-worth that you've created. You're not depending on anyone else. So what's a good way for you to ground, have you found over time? What works for you?
I have a whole variety of things that I use. A daily yoga practice is incredibly important for me. So this can be anything from sitting for 5 minutes and breathing to an hour of stretching and strength work. It really depends on so many factors. My energy levels that day, my time that day. I listen to my body. When I roll out the yoga mat, I don't have any set routine or set plan. It's the one place where I don't have to do anything or achieve anything. It's the one place where, I've never tried to be someone who can do the perfect headstand or the perfect crow balance pose. For me, it's always been about what nourishes my body, what nourishes my soul. Roll out that yoga mat, and when you roll out that yoga mat, what's right for you? And for me, it's like I say, it can completely vary. It can be a child's pose and a lovely, maybe just a cat and cow pose, and just a lovely relaxation at the end. Or it can be lots of nice sun salutations and putting in some nice squats and some upper body work. It really does depend day to day. But for me, that's incredibly grounding.
And that's such a I love that you say, create a space without a plan. I just think that's such a big takeaway from what you shared there. And clearly, you've been very successful in living your life like that. And I think sometimes we feel we have to have a plan, and actually what you've done there, it's a very divine feminine practice. You've created space and you're allowing, and I love how you've actually put that across. That's beautiful. So when you're when you're on that road to recovery, like everyone's in a little bit of a different spot, what happens when, I don't know, you've ever felt you might have done, you think, oh, is it worth it? Am I worth it? How have you got yourself over and through that, mind talk that I think so many of us, deal with sometimes?
Yeah, and I mean that's difficult, and I think at different stages of our life we all go through that. For me, there's lots of things. Obviously, since I've introduced my yoga practice, that's a big part of my life. Now, as a mother, I've got a 2-year-old, I've got a 5-year-old. She's going to be 6 in a couple of weeks.
Oh.
For me, having 2 daughters is a really important part of my life. It's something which gives me drive and gives me passion, and I would say nourishes my soul more than anything that I've ever done in my life. Being a mother is incredibly important to me. But in terms of sort of just practical tools that I would use on times whether it be when I go through that illness or just times in life where things happen and you have to get through things, I would say, first of all, I sometimes think you just need to go with it. So if you do feel upset, or you do feel down, or you do feel like you just want to hide away from the world for a day or a couple of hours, go with that. We sometimes always have to fight it. We always have to be positive, but actually sometimes just go with it. But then it's finding a balance between going with it and when is the right time to call on those resources you've got to pick yourself back up again. And for me, I don't mind occasionally just going, you know what, I could do with more than anything in the world. And actually, I did this last week, which was Tuesday morning. When my daughters was at school, one of my daughters was at nursery, and I just finished this big project that I was talking about, and I had lots of things to catch up on, lots of emails, just business back as usual, really. And what I thought? What I need to do more than anything in the world is just get myself into bed. I really felt like an apple crumble, completely random, but all I wanted was an apple crumble. And I just thought, I need to just sit into bed. I need to watch something on television that's just really rubbish, TV, reality TV, for an hour, eat some apple crumble, and just have some time for me. And it wasn't a Friday night or a Saturday night, it was a Tuesday morning. And actually, I just needed that time. I didn't even necessarily want to even have that time on my yoga mat or meditating, all those tools that I call on every day. I just let myself be like that. And it's amazing, when I did that, I just thought, right, I'm ready to emerge again. I'm ready to go back and be positive. And that's just a silly little example of just when I was a little bit sort of tired and a little bit sort of just overworked over a few weeks. But generally on a I think more serious note, it is about, first of all, allowing yourself just to acknowledge that how you're feeling and let yourself be, and then think, what tools have I got, or what tools can I ask other people to assist me with to help me heal? So it might be for you, something like yoga might be important, or it might be walking in nature, or it might be speaking to a friend, or it might be taking time alone, or it might be surrounding yourself by people. We're all so different in how we feel. But I think it's incredibly important. It's not being worried to ask for help as well. Don't have to do it yourselves. We don't have to. And that's incredibly important to say, and it's easy to think, particularly in this social media age, that everybody else is living this perfect life with this perfect career and this perfect family and the perfect look. But actually, one thing I have learned working in the well-being industry for the last 15 years is
Yeah.
every single person that you meet is going through their own struggles. That every single person. So you're not alone. You know, as human beings, I believe we're all in this together. We're all in this thing called life together. So don't be afraid to share with other people. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to admit how you're feeling. You know, actually, if you aren't feeling the way that you want to feel, then tell people, open up. And it's amazing how that can take that first step to that healing process. You know, I can give you all the tools in the world, lists of affirmations, lovely eating plans, all of this, but actually you might not be at that stage. You might not be ready for that yet. You know, you might just need to first of all let yourself be in that space, acknowledge how you're feeling, and then take that next step of actually opening up about it and asking for help.
That's true, and I've, you know, for myself, I've basically burnt out twice. I couldn't get enough of it, so I did it all over again. And you know, I just hope anyone who's listening, and you probably want to listen to Danielle again because there's so much in there that you've shared. But it's about actually taking that step back and, you know, having that apple crumble time out that you might need, or whatever works for you. So that's amazing. Can I ask now? Obviously, face yoga, it's something that you're, you know, very well known for. It's something that you're really bringing into the world. Why face yoga? How did it start?
So obviously I share my journey of how I got into teaching yoga. What I was doing when I was teaching yoga was noticing more and more that people were saying to me, you know, yoga's great for my body. I'm feeling fitter, healthier, more flexible, stronger. It's great for my mind. I'm noticing my mind feels more calmer and more relaxed. People are even reporting things like sleeping better, you know, being able to deal with day-to-day stresses more effectively. But I was noticing people were saying to me, what about my face? I wish I could do something natural for my face. How can I avoid going for a facelift? You know, can't you do yoga for my face? People were saying. And actually, when I trained as a yoga teacher, I remember something really strongly that I remember thinking, why are we trained about everything from the neck downwards? We learn all about the muscles, we learn about how to strengthen them, how to relax them, everything. But there's 57 muscles in the head, neck, and face. Why aren't we taught about these? You know, why aren't we given exercises for this?
Mm.
Actually, after I did my yoga teaching, to do some training in face massage. So again, all these pieces are starting to come together. And really what I did, my first sort of step into the face yoga world was a lot of research. So obviously I'd had that background in the training and the yoga and the face massage and the well-being and the nutrition. There's a lot of research. So it was research into techniques which have been used for thousands of years, sort of 5,000 years plus in Indian medicine, in Chinese medicine, in Japan, and looking at how these age-old techniques could actually be used in modern life, how they could be accessible for people today, how they could be used for well-being purposes, but also for aesthetic purposes as well, to help us look great as well as help us feel great. I then also spent a lot of time looking at the composition of the face muscles, how the skin is composed, how our bone structure is composed, and actually looking at how we can translate what we know about the body in terms of strengthening and toning a muscle on the exercise, in terms of massaging muscles and skin when we want to relax or when we want to boost circulation, and how we can actually apply these to the face. Now, the face massage aspect, when I trained in face massage, it was how to actually do it to other people. But again, I wanted to make it very much accessible for people. So how can people sit in, you know, on their sofa in front of the TV in an evening and do a little bit of these techniques themselves, which doesn't cost them any money, it doesn't take them any time. They don't have to go and book a face massage or a facial technique. And I wanted people to be able to think, well, yeah, I know what exercise I'm doing. So I'm just going to do some for the face as well. I'm just going to add a little bit into my routine. So that's how I initially sort of put together the Danielle Collins face yoga method. And it was very much tried and tested with clients. So I would do just little bits at the end of yoga classes. I would do sort of little trial groups with groups of my clients, you know, give them a program, ask them to go away and try it and get feedback on how they got on. And the results were great. People were starting to see benefits in their skin, in their face, but
Mm.
also benefits as well. So those well-being benefits that I've been teaching already for years, that I've been using myself for years, were translating across to the face yoga as well. And that was incredibly important. And then my first sort of step, I guess, into doing it more nationally, those sort of what I was doing was very much locally for me.
Yeah.
I sort of took this first step, and I thought, for the last few years, I've been visiting the London Yoga Show, the Om Yoga Show in Olympia. And I thought to myself, I've never seen anything like face yoga. It had all been variations on yoga as we know it. So with someone that wasn't really, to an extent, very well, I wasn't at all well known nationally or internationally, despite having sort of various experience. I wrote the application, sort of said, I'd like to do this talk on face yoga, and it was accepted, which was amazing. And I remember I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, crazy. So that was great. And I thought, is anyone going to come to this class? I'm used to my regular clients and would book up for 6 weeks and all the rest of it. I thought, no one knows me. Are they going to come? So on this stage, I had 100 people come in, and I had people queuing out the door, people watching all around the side, and it was unbelievable. I mean, this is going back, I reckon, a good 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
And
Danielle.
I made just a little audio CD. So literally, I just recorded it on my laptop at home. And I think I bought 40 of them, 30 or 40, thinking I don't think anyone was going to buy this. They sold out within about 2 minutes after the class. And I just thought, this is something that people want, they enjoy, they love. It's something I love doing for myself. I love teaching my clients locally. And I'm going to take this globally. That was the real starting point for me. And then, I was just lucky from then that the media started to very organically start to notice what I was doing. There was no necessary push from me. It's not like I had a big PR team or anything that were pushing it. It was very organic at first, and it was lovely actually to see how TV shows and newspapers and magazines were starting to say, actually, this is something that people want to hear about. Tell us more about it. I've just been incredibly lucky over the last decade, and now I train people to be face yoga teachers. So we have over 400 teachers of my method in 50 different countries. I have apps and various sort of workshops and a clinic in Harley Street in London. So it's great, it's exciting, and it's what I love doing. And more than anything, I just love seeing the difference it makes to other people. That's what drives me every day.
Yeah, I know you said, it was very, you were lucky, but I think a lot of that luck was created by a lot of the action that you took. You filled in that application form on a leap of faith, thinking, well, I'll try. And then you turned up thinking, will anyone turn up? And then everyone turned up.
I've always been a believer in, manifesting what you want. So for me, it very much was, I knew that I wanted to take this sort of bigger than it was. So I had these sort of goals, so to speak, to do some sort of national speaking, and then to have some sort of press interest. So I put it out there in the universe for sure. But I think there's always a part of you, even when you do that, even when you write it down or you see it in your head, and even if you believe that it's going to happen in your gut, there's always that part of you that's got that little bit of fear, that little bit of doubt, that little part of you that just says, but actually, am I actually good enough to do this? And do I actually deserve to receive this? Or are people going to like it? And that's completely normal. And I'm sure that anybody that works in manifesting goals and manifesting things for themselves and things for the people they love around them would say the same thing. There's always a part of you that's got a bit of doubt. It's amazing if you've got somebody that's just got 100% belief 100% of the time, then that's amazing. But I would say for sure there's always parts of me that goes, is that going to work? Are people going to turn up for that class? Are they going to come? Even though deep down it's going to be okay.
Yes, yeah. I mean, how do you, when you have that moment, and it's so lovely, you're being so, you're being so honest to say, well, actually, even now, sometimes I think, "Oh, will anyone turn up?" How do you push through that? How do you cope with that yourself, rather than think, oh, I'm not gonna go? Do you think, okay, how do you cope?
Well, I just think, I know it sounds in some ways a negative way, but for me it's not. It's actually quite positive to it. I just say, well, what's worst case scenario? If I turned up somewhere and no one turned up, it wouldn't take away much from my life overall. At least I'd taken that action. At least I'd taken that step. And actually, I can walk away and I can just continue living my life and, feeling happy and content on the inside, that actually it doesn't matter in the great scheme of things. And that's something I try and tell myself. And that's not about saying, oh, I'm going to do badly or people aren't going to be there. It's just about saying, actually, in the great scheme of things, does it matter? Because I think sometimes if you set things too high for yourself and say, this is everything, this is going to change my life, it feels too much. It feels like this burden on top of you. But actually, let's face it, every single person that's done anything in their life has had times when things haven't been that successful, when things have failed, or when things haven't gone to plan. And actually, that's completely normal. It's how we bounce back from those things that matters.
Mm. Yeah, and I love how you've actually, yes, I love how you, and it is that bounce back, and it can actually be, it is that bounce. Literally, if you think of something bouncing, you can actually push off from wherever you are. What, just looking up, talking about face yoga, what is, for someone who's kind of intrigued by it, what's a really easy face yoga move that anyone can do, that they can start with? What would you recommend?
I would say one of the best things that you can do to start with is to integrate face yoga when you use your skincare. So when you apply your serum or your
Yeah,
oil or your moisturizer, then you can actually just pop it on your face and actually you can just massage it in. So just very gentle massages
like
all
that.
over the face. Just a little upward motion is lovely, and then little tapping with all the fingertips is really, really nice as well. It just helps the product penetrate into the skin. It boosts the circulation. It brings all the fresh blood and oxygen up to the skin surface. So really feeds the skin, brightens the skin, gives the skin a lovely glow.
Yeah.
You should fit into your day-to-day life, face yoga. That's something which I've always believed. Actually, my latest DVD and app is called, I don't know if you've seen it, but Face Yoga for Your Busy Life. So it's all designed for people who actually just want face yoga to fit into their day-to-day life.
That is what I was going to ask you. Clearly, you're very psychic as well. That's what I was going to ask you, because everyone, so many people work, and sometimes if you don't work, if you've got responsibilities, we're busy. They think, oh gosh, what can I don't have much time. My soul so wants to do this. How can I just bring some of this into my life? So how did you, so with you've got a few DVDs, what did you decide to put into them? Because obviously there's so much, how did you split it up to know, well, actually this is a good process to take someone through?
So my first DVD, which is also an app, 10-minute natural facelift,
Oh
is
yes.
all in 10-minute sections. So you've got 10 minutes for the upper face, 10 minutes for the lower face, 10 minutes massage, 10 minutes acupressure and relaxation, as well as lots of lovely bonus tracks on body yoga that benefits the skin, juices and smoothies, homemade skincare. And for me, that very much was about just saying, look, if you can find 10 minutes a day, or 20 minutes, or 30 minutes, or even 40 minutes, then great, and that's how you're going to get results. You're going to get results by doing it regularly and by doing a significant amount of time. So that's been really, really popular and really, really successful. And in the meantime, I did 10-minute natural body lift and 10-minute natural mood lift. So again, they're all designed to fit into your day-to-day life. So the body lift is in 6 10-minute sections, all working different parts of the body with yoga, and the mood lift is the same thing. You can do a 6-minute program or 6 10-minute sections with yoga and meditation and visualization. And as I said, they've all been really, really popular. But something I was finding that people were saying more and more was actually, yes, it's great. I can do my 10 minutes or I can do my 20 minutes, but sometimes I have 2 minutes or sometimes I have 4 minutes, and that's all I can do in a day. how can I integrate it into my day-to-day life? So this is when Face Yoga for Your Busy Life was born. And again, it's available on DVD or app. You just need to search Danielle Collins on your app store. And this is all 2-minute sections. So you can either do it as a full 30-minute face yoga workout if you wanted to sit down and do that, and that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Do 2 minutes, and it suggests when you do them throughout your day. You don't have to do them at those times, but it's, for example, 2 minutes when you wake up, 2 minutes so you can do when you're in the shower, 2 minutes so you can learn to, which is sort of just 3 moves that you can do when you're driving your car, 2 minutes so you can do when you're in the bath, 2 minutes so you can do when you're before you go to bed at night, 2 minutes you can do just before you put your makeup on, that type of thing, how you can just integrate a couple of easy, simple techniques into your day-to-day life. And again, that's been really great for people, either as an alternative to the 10-minute natural facelift. So people that just say, look, I'm not going to do a 10-minute upper face and a 10-minute lower face workout every day. It's just not going to happen. So those saying, look, actually, I know that you need to do it regularly to get results. So I can do pop it on my app and do my 2 minutes in the morning, my 2 minutes before bed, perfect. And other people use it as well as, so people that really enjoy doing their upper face and their lower face workout, taking their 20 minutes or 30 minutes a day, just say, look, some days it's just not going to happen. Some days I've got a busy day, but actually I just want to do something which 2 minutes before I go to bed or 4 minutes before I go to bed at night. And they just use it as well as. So it's really up to you how you really use it.
Oh, I love that. And I love the fact that as well you're responding to, what people are. I think that's when you create something, it is about understanding, because we talk a lot about creativity on So Worthy You. And I think what's lovely is you've created things and then you're responding to others around you. It's not that they love what you've got, but actually they want something a little bit different. They want whatever it is, and you've done that. And I think that's part of this soul worthy journey, about being responsive to what's happening around you and creating other and more things as well. When you've actually been speaking to clients, and obviously you've done this over many years, what are some common fears that people have when they perhaps they present in a class? What are some common things that come up? Is there a theme that at the moment a lot of people are feeling, I don't know, very anxious, or what do you see happening with people?
You mean in terms of faces?
But in terms of the face yoga, is it that they feel that they have to go and have fillers, and I'm not judging that or anything like that, or do they feel they have to have a facelift, or is that sort of the thing that tends to show up in classes and so on?
Interestingly, everyone has their own unique story and their own unique reason why they come along to face yoga. So for some people, it would be exactly what you say. Maybe they don't want to go down the Botox or the fillers or the surgery route. They want something more natural for their face. They want to strengthen and tone their muscles naturally. Excuse me. So yes, that certainly comes up. But then people come for a whole variety of reasons. Some people just come because they say, look, my skin looks tired, I want to brighten my skin out. Other people might come and say, oh, sorry, I'm just going to have a glass of
it's all right. We're getting through lots of things. I did wonder about that, actually, what really drives people to because our face, we're so vulnerable. It's so, it's, for many of us, it's something that the whole world sees, whereas they perhaps don't see our stomachs on a daily basis, but our face, we're out there, and our sense of worthiness is somewhat reflected in our faces, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. And something I've really learned over the years is how every emotion shows on our face, whether it be emotions that have been deep within us for years and years, or a temporary thought or emotion. Our faces really show so much. Our faces almost can't get away with, if we're going through times of stress, let's say, the world doesn't see necessarily what's happening with our body. And if it does, if it might be excess weight gain or weight loss, then people can cover that up with clothes. It's but our faces, they show everything. They show when we've been stressed. They show when we've had a good night's sleep or a bad night's sleep. They show when we've had a busy time with work, or when we've been on a lovely, relaxing holiday. They show everything. And that's something I've seen more and more. So people often do come just because they say, look, I want my skin to look less tired or less stressed. And actually, yes, it is about giving them practical techniques to help improve their skin, but also it's sometimes working on the inside as well. So, relaxation techniques, positive thinking techniques, affirmations, all
Mm.
of that into my method as well. That's incredibly important for
Mm.
for everybody. I don't think I've ever had a client to come along to me where I haven't said that let's put these well-being techniques in. And actually, face yoga in itself, so just sitting there being mindful, relaxing your face, exercising your face and massaging your face, doing the acupressure points, all of that's going to improve the well-being anyway on so many levels, on a very practical level, just in terms of physically releasing tension, perhaps in the jaw or perhaps in the temple area, on an energetic point of view as well. So very much things like the acupressure techniques, releasing blocked energies there, is also very, very important. Mindfulness, that time focusing on you, that time focusing on breathing. So, it's really interesting, the well-being and the beauty aspects, they're very much meshed together. And I think one complements the other very, very well.
It
I've
does,
never
yeah. I,
replace us. To me, well-being needs to feed into it as well. We're never going to look our best unless we feel our best.
yes, and that's very true, because sometimes people can be, like plastered with makeup, but they just, something's missing, and you just something's just missing there. And I think we can all, when you're empathetic, like many people watching this are, you can just tell when someone's really not on good form, and it's that well-being part that is definitely missing. I love that, your work, it really is there for other people. It's giving them the tools to empower themselves, which is, what it's doing in a very healthy way. If really just to, sort of finish up and just touch on this point, if anyone is, people watching Soulworthy, you are going through their own journeys, and they'll probably want to watch and listen back to this a few times to, really take on board everything that you've said. But if someone's going through a real struggle at the moment, and they're really feeling like they're not going to get out of it, they just feel, they don't feel they're in a good place, they don't think they're in a good place, they can't see a way out, what would you recommend? What would you suggest?
I would say the first thing is something I mentioned earlier, which is talking to other people. So
Yeah.
don't struggle on your own. This is what I absolutely would say. There's no need to struggle on your own. Nobody's going to judge you. No one's going to tell you that you shouldn't have shared it. People are only going to be there for you. So share it with right people, whether it be someone professionally, so whether it be a doctor, whether it be a therapist, or whether it be a complementary therapist, whether it be a friend or a family member. I would certainly say number one is share.
Yes, yeah, and we have a Soulworthy You private Facebook group as well, which is a very quiet, sacred space just to come along, feel uplifted with like-minded souls. And again, I think you're absolutely right there. That really does. It does open up your opportunities, and it's about sort of thinking, actually, other people have got through this. There is a way out and a way up, as it were. So, Danielle, yeah, sorry, you were going to say yes?
I would say, we don't have to put on this front of being superwoman all the time. That's the thing I would say to people. Don't think that you have to pretend or put on this mask to the world. Let yourself be your real, authentic you. Share with other people. And I would say the one other thing I would say, if you can, if you feel in the space that you're able to, I would say write down how you want to feel. So if you are going through a difficult time and you can't see any way out, write down how you want to feel, every part of it, whether it be you want to feel happy, whether you want to feel energized, whether you want to find a new partner, whether you want to find different friends or you want a job or whatever it is, write down every aspect of it. If you need to draw little pictures and have that there, because I think when we know what our end goal is, we know where we want to be, then even if we don't know how we're going to get there, at least we know where we're going. Because sometimes we just think, I don't actually know what I want. But I think deep down we all do know what we want, but we just need to give ourselves the time and the space to write it down. So I often say to clients, imagine I've got a magic wand, and if I could wave that magic wand, what would your life look like? Not what you think other people want your life to look like, but what you want your life to look like. If there was No restriction. You know, if for you it's going to be, I don't want to be a billionaire, write down
Yeah.
you want to be a billionaire. You know, without any restrictions, what you think you should write down. Write it down. Write down every aspect of it, how you would feel, how you would look, how everything. Write it down. And I would say, if you can find the motivation to do that, just do it. Don't worry about how you're going to get there now. Just do that. And occasionally, when you feel like you can, read it through. If you can start to get to the point where you can visualize it as well, even better.
I love that. That's so powerful. And yes, that is a very powerful place to go to when you're not feeling very empowered, actually. It's like, what do you want to bring into your life? Just thank you so much for your time, Danielle. I think you've shared so much richness in this. There's so much soul worthiness that I think anyone could really connect to, and some very practical things as well. So thank you very much for your time, and namaste.
Namaste. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And stay smart, stay spirited, and stay in touch.